Okay, so welcome to my Concepts of Algebra 2 students who are watching this in preparation for your quiz on Tuesday over section 6.5 and 6.6. Again, remember to write these notes down, maybe try the problems before I do them just to see how well you're doing, and then bring them into class for your quiz. So before we begin, I want to talk about the two types of problems you will see. Okay, so two types of problems. So the first type is ones that just say factor. All right? And when you factor, what's going to happen is your answer is going to look something like this. And there is no equal sign. No equals. Okay? So remember that factor means give me the factors. Give me the parentheses that make up the original problem. The second type of problem is going to be the solved problem. Here, your answers will look like this. X equals, X equals. So there will be some equal signs. Remember that when you solve, the degree, or the highest power of X, equals the number of solutions. So if you have a degree of 3, you're going to have 3 solutions. A degree of 4, 4 solutions. A degree of 5, 5 solutions. So we will begin with some factoring problems. Okay, and here's the two problems we will work on. Okay, so let's start with problem A. And again, these are factor problems. We need to factor 125x cubed plus 8. All right, so hopefully you see two numbers, two terms. You think to yourself, okay, first thing, is there a common factor? Does 125 and 8, or 125x cubed and 8 have any common factors? And the answer is no. So there's none. So now, how do we do this problem? Well, I see an x cubed. Maybe it's a sum of perfect cubes. Are these both perfect cubes? And the answer is yes. 125 is 5 cubed, and x cubed is x cubed. That's 5x cubed. 5x is going to be one of the key parts of your answer. The other part is from the 8. 8 is 2 cubed. So 2 is another key part. And now we have to remember how to write out the formula. Now I'll do the general formula first, and then we'll apply it here. So the general formula, and this will be on the board, x cubed plus y cubed, remember, equals x plus y, x squared minus xy plus y squared. Okay, so here's the sum formula. And again, they'll be on the board for you. So we just have to apply our two numbers to this factored formula. So first is x plus y, what it says without the cubes. So our first parenthesis is 5x plus 2. Then we have to square the first thing. Well, the first thing has two parts. It has a 5, which has to be squared, and an x, which has to be squared. So it really is 25x squared. Then you have a minus sign. And then it's x times y. Well, that's the first thing times the second thing. 5x times 2, which is 10x. Always positive, and the second thing squared. Y squared. 2 squared, which is 4. And there's the factored form of this perfect cube problem. Okay. Next one. I'll put a little divider in between them. We have to factor this one. All right, so I see 8x to the 5th minus 32x cubed plus 24x. I notice there's 3 terms, so I'm thinking maybe this factors with 2 sets of parentheses. First thing I will look for is a common factor, though. And let's first look at the numbers. 8, 32, and 24. I believe that 8 goes into all of them. That's great because we'll get rid of that a. Remember, this is the a value, and we don't want an a. It'd be nice if it wasn't there. So I think we can get rid of it by taking out an 8. And then look, x to the 5th, x to the 3rd, x. They all have x. Pull out the smallest power. That's x to the 1st. So when we pull this common factor out, what do we have left over? Well, we have x to the 4th, right? These 5x's become 4 when you pull one out. Minus 4x squared. 32 divided by 8 is 4. And 3x's minus 1x is 2x's, x squared. Times 24 divided by 8 is 3, and this x comes out. Okay, so now we have to focus on this trinomial inside. This 8x comes down, 2 parentheses. I look at C. C is positive. Same signs. Move over to B. B is negative, so they're both going to be negative signs. So remember, positive C means the same signs. We move to the middle term to find those two signs. To get x to the fourth, I need x squared and x squared. And I look for the factors of one number, and that's 3. And those factors are 1 and 3. It doesn't matter where they go, 1 here and 3 there. Now, before you finish, you have these x squareds, you have minus signs, you have numbers. You need to look for a difference of perfect squares. So I look here, x squared and 1, they are both perfect squares. X squared is x squared. 1 is 1 squared. So right now we have the 8x in front. This now breaks down. Remember, it's plus and minus. X plus 1, x minus 1. So that's this guy down here. Now x squared minus 3. 3 is not a perfect square, so it can't go any farther. So you're good there. And there's the factored form for that polynomial. So notice there's no equal sign. I'm not solving for x. I'm just finding the parentheses, finding the factors. Factor problems. Okay, so now let's move on to some solve problems. So here's the first one. Says x cubed minus 6x squared plus 12 equals 2x. I will remind you that to solve, it must say equals 0 before you even start factoring. So right now it does not say equals 0. Move this 2x to the left. Now notice this 2x has one x, x to the first power. There are no other x terms, so it does not combine. Just put it where it goes. Naturally, it goes after the x squared. X cubed minus 6x squared minus 2x plus 12 equals, and these cancel to give you 0. That's what you want. And now you see 4 terms. 4 terms is the grouping method. First 2, second 2. The first 2 have an x squared in them. Remember, x cubed, x squared, smallest power. That leaves you with an x and a negative 6. Bring down that middle sign, and 2x and 12 have a 2 in common. Now it's a negative 2, so the signs switch. Negative 2 comes out, making that positive x, and a positive 12 becomes a negative, and 12 divided by 2 is 6. Now we have the x minus 2 repeated, so let's bring it way out in front and cross it off. The second parenthesis has x squared minus 2 inside of it. And now we're at the point where we can set these equal to 0. This is the factored form, but we must set them equal to 0 to solve. Add 6, x equals 6. Add 2, x squared equals 2, and divide, or not divide, and take the square root. Now, when you take the square root, remember, how many answers do you get? You get 2, because there's this plus or minus in front of that square root of 2. So when you take the square root of 2, I believe you get something like 1.41. Just double checking the calculator. Yep, 1.41. So you're going to get positive 1.41. And you're going to get negative 1.41 because you took the square roots. And notice, what is my degree? My degree is 3. So how many solutions do I anticipate, and how many did I have? 3. Factor by grouping. Okay, here's the next problem we're going to attack. It says 3x cubed minus 30x equals 9x. Remember, it must say equals 0. So get 0 on the right side by subtracting 9x. Now, 9x is a like term with the 30x, so subtract it underneath there. The 3x cubed does not change. Negative 30 minus 9, that's negative 39x. That equals 0. Now that you are equal to 0, you can look for common factors. Okay, these have 2 terms, so look for a common factor. Common factor between 3 and 39 is 3, and the x cubed and x, pull out the smallest power, x. So we're going to pull out a common factor of 3x. That's going to leave you with x squared. 3 comes out, 3x's become 2x's now. And then 39 divided by 3 is 13, and this x disappears. And you're factored. Here's your multiplication. You're factored. Set each one equal to 0 and solve. For this one, divide by 3. X equals 0. For this one, add 13 to both sides. And then take the square root. Remember, square root brings plus or minus, so you get 2 answers. The square root of 13 is 3.61. So you get two answers, positive 3.61 and negative 3.61. Alright, and again, I'll emphasize, degree is 3 answers. Remember to make one side 0. Every problem make one side 0. Okay, here's our last problem here. We have 16x to the fourth minus 81 equals 0. So we have two terms. It is set equal to 0, so let's see if we can pull out any common factors. 16 and 81, they do not share any common factors. There is none. So now, there are two terms here. This is to the fourth power. 16 and 81, those are both perfect squares. Maybe this is a perfect square problem, and I think it is. Difference of perfect squares. 16 is 4 squared. X to the fourth is x squared squared. And there's your, what is being squared? 4x squared. 81 is 9 squared. So in two parentheses, 1 plus and 1 minus, 4x squared minus 9, and 4x squared plus 9. Now, this is factored. You can set it equal to 0. You could also recognize that this right here, I'll circle it in yellow, that is a difference of perfect squares. If you wanted to do it like this, you could do 2x squared minus 3 squared and get 2x minus 3, 2x plus 3, if you want to. So it's your choice whether you want to factor it like this, so you'd have 1, 2, and this one does not factor because it's an addition. It's not a subtraction. It's not a difference. But it does not matter. Okay, I'm going to ignore the yellow and just carry on like this because it is a solving problem. So what I can do is I can just set them each equal to 0 and solve. So we have 4x squared minus 9 equals 0, and 4x squared plus 9 equals 0. Okay, so I'm able to solve here by using square roots. But you could do it this way. Maybe I'll do both. I'll do the yellow after we're done with the pink. So here I'm going to add 9, divide by 4, and I don't think that comes out to be something nice. So I'll leave it as 4/9. Okay, it might. 9 divided by 4. It does. It's 2.25. So if you want to use 2.25, let's do that. You probably will. And then let's take the square roots. Remember, you get two answers, plus or minus. The square root of 2.25 is 1.5. So you get positive 1.5, and you get negative 1.5. Okay, so there's two of our answers. Let's see over here. Let's subtract 9. 4x squared equals negative 9. Let's divide by 4. X squared equals negative 2.25. So it's the same number, but it's negative. And now we're going to take the square root. Now, when you take the square root of a negative number, you have to do two things. First, it's plus or minus, and then this negative comes out as an I in the end. So we know the square root of 2.25 is 1.5, but now we have to throw on the I. Positive 1.5 I and negative 1.5 I. Okay, and there's our 1, 2, 3, 4 answers. What was our degree? Our degree was 4. Now, if we did the yellow, okay, so we would have to do the pink for the 4x squared plus 9 and get these two answers. So these would be our, I'll circle them in yellow. Yellow answer, yellow answer. But now here, this, we would set each of these equal to 0. 2x minus 3 equals 0. 2x plus 3 equals 0. Add 3, 2x equals 3, and divide by 2. 3 over 2 is 1.5. Hey, matches that answer. Subtract 3, 2x equals negative 3, and divide by 2. Negative 3 divided by 2 is negative 1.5. Hey, matches that answer. So you get the same answers whether you do all pink or a little bit of pink and yellow. Okay? All right. I do want to match your answers on the quiz, so make sure you put them down. All right. Last problem coming. Okay, so here's our problem. So I have this box here, this rectangular prism. It has a volume of 42 inches cubed, and here its dimensions x, 3x minus 7, and 3x minus 2. My question is, find the dimensions. What is this by this by this in inches? Okay. Well, the first thing we have to do is we have to find the volume. To find the volume, we use this equation v equals length times width times height. We're going to multiply these three things together. Volume equals x times 3x minus 7 times 3x minus 2. Okay, so first thing I would do is I would work with the x and the 3x minus 7, and I would distribute and get 3x squared minus 7x. Bring down the 3x minus 2 and put the 3x squared minus 7x in parentheses and multiply them together. So this 3x squared has to go once, twice. 9x squared. Oh, I'm sorry, 9x cubed. I apologize. 3x squared times 3x is 9x cubed. 3x squared times negative 2 is minus 6x squared. Okay, so that's the first two. Then we do the negative 7x to both. Negative 7x times 3 is negative 21x squared. Negative 7x times negative 2 is positive 14x. And we will combine these and we'll get 9x cubed minus 27x squared plus 14x. And that is what my volume is. But don't we know the volume? We do know the volume. It's 42. So why don't you scratch out the volume here and set this equal to its actual volume of 42. And let's solve this problem now. Okay, let me scooch down so I have some room. Let's solve this problem. So now we want to solve this. Solve. In order to solve, you better say equals 0. You better get that 42 to the other side. It's a number without a variable, so it does not combine with any of those terms. 9x cubed minus 27x squared plus 14x minus 42 equals 0. The 42's cancel. And now this is a factor by grouping. 4 terms. First two, second two. Common factor here is a 9x squared. That means the 9 goes away and x cubed becomes just x. The minus sign stays. 27 divided by 9 is 3, and the x squared is gone. Bring down the plus. 14x and 42. 14 actually goes into 42. So pull the 14 out. X and 42 divided by 14 is 3. There we go. That's what I wanted, that repeating factor of x minus 3. Pull it out in front. 9x squared plus 14 is what's left over. These two things equal 0. So let's solve. Let's slide down a little bit more. So we have x minus 3 equals 0. Let's add 3. And we get x equals 3. So there's a potential answer. X equals 3. Over here we have 9x squared plus 14 equals 0. Let's subtract 14. 9x squared equals negative 14. Let's divide by 9. And 14 divided by 9, or negative 14 divided by 9, does not come out even, so leave it alone. Negative 14 ninths. And then to get x by itself, we would have to take the square root. Uh-oh. We are trying to take the square root of a negative number. Square roots of negative numbers are imaginary, so we don't care. So the only true answer we have here is 3. X is 3. That's the only true answer we have. So I'll come back up to my picture, and I'll plug in 3. And I'll say this is 3 inches. I'll plug in 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 minus 7 is 2 inches. And this is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 minus 2 is 7 inches. So what do we have? We have 3 inches by 2 inches by 7 inches. And there are the dimensions of this box. And 3 times 2 is 6, and 6 times 7 is 42. Okay? So again, you find the volume by multiplying, and then it's usually a factor by grouping problem. Okay? And only one of your answers should be real, so you plug that answer into your dimensions to get the actual numbers for dimensions. Okay, so hope this video helped you, and we will see you in class on Tuesday. All right, thanks for watching.